Folks, all the focus continues to be on the aftermath of what took place in Ferguson, Missouri. Tremendous protests took place last night in Ferguson. More than 40 people were arrested, but also there are protests taking place all around the country as well. Some 13 cities, folks, were taken to the streets. New York, Dallas, Los Angeles, you name it. And so it was a rather busy day. We're going to break it down right here on News 1 Now. Before was the T. As I said, protests all around the country. New York, they were stopping traffic during a busy part of the time. Washington, D.C., Dallas, on the major highways as well. And so it was an unbelievable day of protest, an unbelievable night of protest across the country. This here is video from 2 nights ago in Ferguson when the announcement was made, when buildings were set ablaze. But the protests that took place last night, I think, are critically important because what that was all about was spontaneous action taken by people all across the country. Tim Lampley, he's with News1.com. He's been on the ground there in Ferguson. He joins us right now. We also have on our panel here in D.C., we have Lauren Victoria Burke, Politic365.com. We also have Cleo Monago, plus we have Kim Brown as well. And I want to go to Tim. Tim, I want to start with you. Last night, we saw police cars set on fire just outside of the police department there. We saw folks also protesting, again, more than 40 arrests. Are these protests now, are they organized protests or are they simply spontaneous protests that sort of just happen?
A lot of the protests that happen at nighttime, I believe, are spontaneous protests. I think, especially with social media, a lot of people are just sending out messages to people and saying, listen, meet me here. Or the police are starting to mobilize, meet us down here. And I don't know, so I guess there's some organization to that, but in general, not really, because you don't have a leader. You don't really have someone who's standing up and really helping to get this group of people together. So I think a lot of it is spontaneous.
And as a result of that, I mean, we see the organized protests in the daytime, but then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose at nighttime. Have they given a sense of what it is they actually want, those who are protesting at night?
Now, that's a really good question, because when I'm out there, I ask them a lot of times, what do you want? I think the bottom line is they want equality. I think they want to be treated equally. Mike Brown, they feel, was not treated equally. So the question becomes, is this a matter of police and the citizens who don't feel like they've been treated equally, or is it a matter of being black and white? You got a white police officer who shoots a young black man, and then he's not indicted for that. You have to wonder, but the question that I ask when I ask about that, the answers I get usually are, we just want to be treated like everyone else. We want the same justice that anyone else in this country receives, and that's the thing. They just want equality. They want the same opportunities for jobs, the same opportunities for, to live the way that they want to live, to be who they want in their own neighborhoods and not be stopped and racially profiled.
I want to go to our panel right now. I was, again, the protests that took place around the country, clearly folks are expressing their outrage. They're showing solidarity with what is taking place in Ferguson. Right. And I think that is a good thing. But one of the things I tweeted last night was, I said, I hope folks are in the data collection business.
That's right.
I hope they are gathering names and information, because it's one thing to simply spontaneously protest.
Right.
But it's another to have a plan of action and being able to get those names and say, this is how we're going to move forward with the folks who actually came out. Your thoughts on that?
I'm actually seeing a lot of signs that will go into body cameras for police. Obviously, the issue of police brutality. I saw an interesting sign last night from Atlanta where somebody had photos of Chavis Carter and Sean Bell and Eric Garner and Abner Louima, a lot of people who have been victims of police brutality over the years. And I think it's also interesting, it'd be interesting to hear what our reporter has to say about this. We're seeing a lot of white folks out there. I know, you know, some of these cable stations don't want to show white protesters or don't want to make it into a thing that is a multicultural sort of event. But I got a friend that's in Ferguson right now that told me last night he couldn't believe how many white people are out there protesting. I think that's kind of underreported in this.
But you know what, though? The reason I don't think that's one, I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not either.
Because on this issue of social justice, on this issue of fairness, this is a whole different generation. There are also the other piece is that, remember, this is the 50th anniversary of Freedom Summer.
Right.
A bunch of white kids who went down to Mississippi as a part of Freedom Summer, working with SNCC and working with CORE. So,
and some white kids who lost their lives working with Freedom Summer as well.
Right. The media seems to sort of make it I wouldn't say a white versus black issue, but I don't know that they personify how many white folks are out there.
Because frankly, look, mainstream media has no clue of what in the hell is going on. I mean, you've got Don Lemon saying some of the stupidest shit you ever heard on CNN.
Exactly.
You got some of these other folks out there, and the problem is they are approaching this with a small mentality. What I mean by that is, I wrote a piece on the Daily Beast that's on the site right now where I said that Michael Brown is dead, but a whole generation is alive. And that's actually what you're seeing. I mean, you literally are seeing this generation saying, wait a minute, let me connect the dots between Michael Brown and John Crawford and Eric Garner and Ezell Ford and Victor White. And they're saying we have a pattern here and something must be done to stop this.
Right.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you heard the president's comments, but they were not helpful. He said something about this is all occurring in response to some hard truths, but he never articulated what the hard truths are. He also said that he does not support destroying communities and those are criminal acts. But calling and implying that the protesters are criminals while saying that there's hard truths that are driving them without articulating the truths keeps the confusion going and is very condescending and not helpful.
Yeah. There's a couple other things the president said that I found a little troubling, where he kept saying that these communities believe that they are being discriminated against. They believe that things are unequal, and it's not.
Like it might be delusional.
Exactly, it's not a belief. This is actually documented facts that can be empirically proven. But I wanted to talk about the protest from last night, because I did attend the protest here in Washington, D.C. that originated at Mount Vernon Square. When I got there about 7 o'clock, it was probably a couple hundred people there. But as the march moved along 5th Street and down towards Union Station, literally, it seemed like thousands. Yeah. And the hashtag on Twitter became "Shut Down Chinatown" for Mike Brown. And it was a very peaceful movement. It was a large movement, multicultural, as you said. There were people out there gathering email addresses. Organizations sort of like the Revolutionary Communist Party, sort of like the fringy activist groups. No one of traditional ilk, I'll say.
And I want to come back to that when we come back. First of all, Tim, thank you very much for joining us and giving us an update of what's happening on the ground there. So thank you very much, Tim Lampley with News1.com. When we come back, I want to get into that very issue because that speaks to the what's next. How are people going to be moving forward? And so we'll deal with that right here on News 1 Now on TV1.